We are back. The girls are black.
We're back.
We're black and back.
Is poverty as inevitable as rainy days on picnics? People choose to be homeless.
Huh?
Does charity make poverty disappear? Or is it like putting a band-aid on a sinking ship? Hello, Globies. Welcome to the World Health Investigation Podcast. My name is Jocelyn.
I'm Edna, and we are young global health professionals and your hosts for the World Health Investigation Podcast.
Also known as the WHI. We will be discussing all things global health, unpacking the most controversial health and social issues,
as well as promoting new wave global health development and equity. We are back. The girls are black.
We're back.
We're black and back. Yeah, guys. And we even have some fantastic news to share with you right from the top.
Some
drum roll, please. Ma'am, that's not a drum. Anyway.
We are thrilled to announce that we have a brand new website.
Yes, a nice, shiny, fresh online hub just for you, our amazing community.
Just for you alone. You can now dive into our world of thought-provoking, stirring discussions, inspiring stories, and so much more, all in one place for you.
Yeah.
Adina, tell me now, what's the tea in global health today?
Yes, why don't we dive into some of the news headlines that have stood out to us? So, I'm sure as many of you are aware, there has recently been a deepening and quite frankly troubling humanitarian crisis or crime in Gaza.
Speak on it. Over 2 million Palestinians, half of them children, are currently trapped in Gaza.
And the situation has taken, a dire turn recently as Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant imposed a complete siege, cutting off access to essential resources like electricity, food, and fuel.
And that's not the only thing. The consequences have been devastating, with over 2,000 civilians, including hundreds of children, losing their lives due to Israeli attacks on their homes, this particularly in recent days.
So we stand firmly together, united in our plea. We urge all our fellow Globies to join your voices, contact your MPs, or even call on central governments.
Absolutely. We must implore them to take immediate action. We need to make them work with our international partners to bring an end to the hostilities, lift the siege in Gaza, and establish an international humanitarian corridor through the Rafah crossing. Now, there's even juice for this season, okay? We need to dive into our topic of this week, the juiciest part of the episode. Let's talk about poverty.
Yes, Globies, we're back at it. And in light of just global humanitarian crises, we thought it's time for us to dive into a topic that's both serious and, seriously misunderstood.
Absolutely, definitely misunderstood.
Yeah.
Well, in a recent episode, we explored the topic of poverty across the world. This time round, we want to dive even deeper. From the bustling Ghana to vibrant Spain, from the colorful streets of India to the lush landscapes of Brazil, we're witnessing a stark paradox.
Yeah.
There's immense wealth coexisting with heart-wrenching poverty.
Yeah, who would have guessed poverty? Just like that one stubborn friend refuses to leave the party.
Speaking of a stubborn friend, since 2015, a staggering fact has haunted us. The richest 1% of the world's population possesses more wealth than the remaining 99%. It's not just a statistic, it's a glaring global reality.
And the impact of this extreme inequality is far-reaching. It hurts us all, but it's the poorest who bear the brunt most of the times, particularly women and girls. And I think that's very troubling because imagine this, no matter how hard they work, many suffering the indignity of poverty wages and are denied basic rights.
Yeah.
In many places, something as fundamental as a decent education or quality healthcare has become a luxury.
A luxury.
It is only something the rich people can afford.
That's not okay.
No.
That's not okay. And let's just delve into some staggering numbers.
Okay.
The world's richest 1%,
Okay.
a tiny fraction of the global population, you're telling me, possesses over double the wealth of 6.9 billion people?
Wow.
It's a stark divide.
Wow. And here's the shocking truth, listeners. Every year, a staggering 100 million people worldwide are pushed into poverty because they're forced to pay out-of-pocket healthcare.
My least favorite thing to talk about is
Out-of-pocket healthcare. Extreme inequality isn't just about the wealth gap.
No.
It's a barrier to reducing poverty.
And this growing gap between the rich and the poor exacerbates existing inequalities in many areas like gender, geography, ethnicity, and more. And it hinders our economies. It fuels global public anger and stands in the way of eradicating global poverty.
Preach, Jocelyn, preach.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we think one major part of the problem is the race to the bottom on personal income and corporate tax. So while public services suffer from underfunding and privatization, many governments are undertaxing corporations and wealthy individuals.
She said it.
So in the end, this costs poor countries at least $100 billion every year that could be invested in essential services like healthcare.
100 what? Let's just delve into the interconnections between poverty and homelessness.
Okay.
In the United States of America.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. So we actually have a case study for you as always. This one might tug at your heartstrings a little bit. So it's a powerful reminder that life can take unexpected turns for anyone, regardless of who they are.
We're going to delve into the life of a man named John, who doesn't fit the stereotype of homelessness.
So John's story is not unique, and it's based on real life. This is a real life experience of many individuals who've been treated by Healthcare for the Homeless. And that's an organization in the US. So let's set the stage.
Okay.
John is a 36-year-old married man with 2 young children. Classic.
Beautiful. He and his wife rented a 2-bedroom cozy apartment in a safe neighborhood with excellent schools.
So John worked as a delivery driver for a large food service distributor. We won't say which one. His career was on the upswing with dreams of becoming a supervisor in the next year. Promotion.
His wife was a devoted stay-at-home mom.
And John had always been healthy. Although he had health insurance through his job, which many people do, he rarely needed to use it. He was a moderate smoker and enjoyed maybe, the occasional social drink. Nothing out of the ordinary.
But unfortunately, like a cruel twist of fate, one afternoon, John's company dropped the bombshell. He was laid off, along with many other.
He was devastated, of course, but thankful that he and his wife had some savings to rely on, in addition to the unemployment checks that he would receive for, the next few months. Okay, things seem in order.
John's world crumbled as he searched relentlessly for a new job. For new job opportunities, he had to face the overwhelming feelings of anger, worry, and panic. And then, deeply affected by the loss of his job, John turned into alcohol as a coping mechanism. So what happened is, what started as 2 beers a night escalated to a 6-pack.
After losing unemployment support, he got evicted and separated from his family.
So he became homeless, suffered injuries, and frequent trips to the emergency department. Let's just have a moment for this case study, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of information here.
Yeah, just let that sink in. Because you see, in the 40th US president, Ronald Reagan, back in the day, he decided to cut programs for the poor and slashed housing subsidies by a whopping 75%. 75%. That's not really a recipe for success.
And you won't believe this. He once said that people choose to be homeless.
Huh?
Talk about a white take, right?
Yo, that's crazy. So this misperception, though, is not surprising. And it still affects how we talk about homelessness today.
And not only that, homelessness is a complex issue with many causes. It could be due to medical debt, job loss, like we saw with John, fleeing domestic violence, or even being kicked out for being your fabulous self.
And don't even get us started on housing costs. They're rising way faster than people's incomes, and that's a recipe for disaster. In this economy?
In this economy, especially this cost of living. Anyways, did you know that 70% of low-income families spend half of their income on rent? And there are only 37 affordable homes for every 100 low-income renters in the United States of America. Let's remember that the homeless, aren't the problem.
No.
Homelessness is the problem.
Yes.
And it's high time we change the narrative.
Period. Period. But today, we're not just going to complain about it. We're actually going to challenge poverty and how we think about the issue. It's obvious that, poverty is bad, right? But what I'm wondering is poverty inevitable?
First question up for debate. Is poverty as inevitable as rainy days on picnics?
I mean, okay, sis, but cool. Yeah, let's dive into it.
I think it's a bit of a complex issue. Poverty isn't exactly like rainy days.
Yeah.
It's a human-made problem, obviously, a result of social, economic, and political factors.
Yeah, that's right. Rainy days are a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
They are beyond our control. We can't control the weather. But poverty, though, it often comes from policies and decisions made by people in power.
Now speak on the people in power. And Edna, it's crucial to remember that while we can't control the rain, we certainly can influence poverty.
Yep.
We have the power to change the policies, fight for justice, and reduce poverty.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a way, it's not as inevitable as rainy days on picnics. You know what I'm saying? We can make a difference, one policy change at a time.
One policy change at a time. But first, let's talk about income inequality. Extreme wealth concentrations is a major driver for poverty. Countries need to implement progressive tax policies, which means higher tax rates on the wealthy. An example of this is, for example, the implementation of a millionaire's tax in some countries, which some of you I know won't like it. It imposes higher tax on incomes above a certain threshold. This revenue can then be used to fund poverty reduction programs. We can talk about later.
It only makes sense in my head. But another thing is education is key. It's not just about access to education, but the quality of the education. In some countries, governments have taken steps to provide free education for free. For example, in Finland's education system, it is renowned for its quality and accessibility, contributing to lower poverty rates in the country.
Interesting. Go Finland. Go Finland. Go Finland. Go Finland. Well, healthcare is equally critical. Universal healthcare systems like those in countries such as Canada, right? Ensure that everyone has access to essential medical services without facing financial hardship. This can help prevent medical-related poverty.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need social safety nets like unemployment benefits and food assistance programs are lifelines for people on the brink of poverty, right? These systems typically help to prevent individuals and families from falling into poverty during difficult times. Germany, for example,
Okay.
they have unemployment benefit system, and it's a good example providing safety net for workers, obviously, who lose their jobs.
Okay, Germany, we see you
Yeah.
too. Well, job creation is vital. Countries should invest in sectors with potential for sustainable growth. Let's take, for example, renewable energy.
Okay.
Industries create jobs while addressing climate change.
It's easy.
How about that?
It's very simple.
Simple, right?
And of course, we cannot forget gender inequality. It is a non-negotiable. Women often earn less than men for the same work, punishing them, or rather pushing them into poverty. Countries like Iceland have implemented equal pay policies, ensuring that women receive the same wages as men for equivalent roles.
That beautiful. And lastly, there's sustainability, which is crucial. So climate change is both a cause and a consequence of poverty.
Right.
The world needs policies that promote renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and responsible consumption. Let's take Bhutan, for instance, right? Which prioritizes gross national happiness over gross domestic product, focusing on the well-being and sustainability.
Of course. What about my happiness? So, to prevent poverty at a global level, it's about addressing, like we've talked about, income inequality, ensuring quality education and healthcare, strengthening social safety nets, creating jobs, achieving gender equality, never forget, and embracing sustainability.
Absolutely.
So we think that with these approaches, which can include investing in tax justice, for pro-poor taxation policies, monitoring public finances, holding governments accountable for delivering quality services, and championing campaigns for healthcare and quality education.
Speak on it. Speak on it. And extreme inequality isn't an unavoidable fate. It's a result of deliberate political, economic choices, and we have the power to actually reverse it.
Yeah. So why don't we?
Why don't we?
Why don't we?
Okay, now, my question is, right? Does charity make poverty disappear? Or is it like putting a band-aid on a sinking ship? Let's dissect that.
You know, Jocelyn, I love how you always come up with these questions.
You're welcome.
Bringing us the most thought-provoking, dilemmas. It's a great question.
You're very welcome, darling. Indeed, it's a question that sparks debate. Charity can provide immediate relief, like a band-aid on a wound. It offers food, shelter, and other essentials to those in need. A classic example is food banks, which feed the hungry and homeless in many countries.
But here is my thing though, right? So charity, yes, I agree, it can be essential, especially for emergency aid. But it doesn't address the root cause of poverty. To me, it sounds like mopping up the water on a sinking ship without actually addressing the leak. You know? So for example, it's like providing free meals to the homeless. It's important, it is vital. But it doesn't always solve the underlying issue of affordable housing and job opportunities. You know what I mean?
True that. I get you. I get you. On top of that, I think charity can sometimes perpetuate a cycle of dependency. Hear me out. Consider ongoing handouts of cash, goods, without accompanying efforts for skill development or even job creation. This can create a reliance on charity rather than promoting self-sufficiency.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But I guess you could still say, there are nowadays more innovative approaches like social enterprises. Now, for those that don't know, social enterprises are essentially organizations that can tackle poverty by providing jobs and skills training. So an example of this is Tom's, the shoe company. Many of them may have heard them. Shout out Tom's, I guess. So they have a 1-for-1 model where for every pair of shoes that they sell, they donate a pair to a child in need. Isn't that great?
How amazing.
Yeah.
So listeners, charity isn't essentially good or bad.
No.
It's about how it can be used.
Exactly.
It's providing immediate relief, but to truly combat poverty, we must address the systemic issues at play here.
Yeah, I think The Economist set up an interesting thought experiment, actually. So Globies, come with us on this journey.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Picture this, okay? You're the finance minister of a developing nation,
Okay.
and you've reached a crossroads. Your tax revenue for the year is actually less than expected, and now you're almost out of funds.
Ooh.
So you face a critical decision.
Okay, so I guess on one hand, you could channel what's left into your healthcare system, right?
Yeah.
Dollars spent here have immediate impact on controlling infectious diseases, saving lives, and improving overall health, right? And I think that could be a compelling argument because there's little that development experts believe is better use of cash. Yeah.
Interesting. But on the other hand, you have the option to invest in constructing a robust electrical grid that can support a shift to clean energy. This decision focuses on the long term. It means less pollution, more productive farmland, and fewer floods in the future. It's about doing your country's part to combat climate change.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. But yeah, as you can see, it's a profound dilemma. It's really rough. It seems like it's choosing between immediate relief for acute poverty and taking steps to mitigate the long-term effects of climate change. The answer isn't clear-cut, clearly.
Yeah, it's not always clear-cut. And this is where policy and leadership truly matter. It's about finding the right balance between government addressing urgent needs and ensuring a sustainable future. A finance minister's decision can impact countless lives and the planet itself. So that's why I think we should weigh the options. If we focus solely on immediate relief, investing in the healthcare system might be the better choice, or even the wiser choice. After all, a healthier population can be more productive and resilient, which then means you can eventually contribute to the economy. That's needed to address poverty as well in the long term.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Sticky situation. But here's the thing for me. Long-term thinking is vital, to increase in our increasingly interconnected world.
Yeah.
So building clean energy infrastructure might in the end be the wiser move, like you said. It addresses poverty, productive farmlands, and reduces flooding, which can boost local economies, like you said, but also climate change threatens all of us.
Good one. So obviously the answer is not always black and white.
No.
The finance minister's role is to balance these priorities and find a path that addresses both the immediate needs of the people and the long-term sustainability of the nation.
Sounds like a tough job.
Easy.
So we leave you with this question. There's no right answers. Which do you think is the wiser use of that last dollar? Alleviating acute poverty right now, or safeguarding the planet for generations to come? Comment below with your thoughts and leave us a message.
Tell us what you think. Now let's go on to the juicier bits, okay? Capitalism. Let me challenge you. Let's stir the pot with this one. So, does capitalism keep poverty around like that pesky neighbor who always borrows your lawnmower?
See, I didn't know where you were going with this, but yet again, an excellent question. An excellent question as always. So let's get into it.
Capitalism,
my favorite.
Right? Y'all love this topic as much as we do. As an economic system, it certainly has its quirks. One argument is that it can perpetuate poverty when profit becomes the sole focus. And let's talk about low-wage labor. In some industries, businesses may pay poverty level wages to maximize profits. H&M. The fast fashion industry is a prime example where workers are often paid meager salaries in the hazardous conditions to keep clothing prices low for consumers.
Absolutely. Income inequality is a hot topic, you know, in capitalism and in capitalist societies. So you can say while capitalism drives economic growth, it doesn't guarantee equal wealth distribution. It just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Consider United States of America, the top one. Over the years, the wealth gap has widened, with the top 1% owning a substantial portion of the wealth. And this leaves many struggling to escape poverty.
Yeah, speak on it. And capitalism's emphasis on competition can sometimes sideline social needs.
Yeah.
For example, healthcare. It's a good case in point, right? In a purely capitalist system, healthcare can become a commodity and access might be limited. Let's take for the US, for example,
Classic.
where high healthcare costs leave some people with improper medical care. For example, with John, we saw him.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also environmental concerns, which are just another angle. So capitalism has a relentless pursuit of growth that obviously can lead to overconsumption and environmental degradation, rather. So, and a lot of the times impoverished communities can be disproportionately affected. Let's just look at, you know, the impact of resource extraction on indigenous and low-income communities in various countries, right? That's just a classic example.
That's a classic example. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But Edna, we can't ignore the other side of the coin.
We really could.
Listen, let me just hear me out here.
Okay.
Capitalism, when well regulated, can be a potent tool for poverty reduction.
Yeah.
Look at Singapore, okay? It transformed from a poor nation to a wealthy one through market-driven capitalism.
Okay.
And this shows that when coupled with proper regulations and social policies, capitalism can indeed alleviate poverty, right?
I mean, I guess. So, does capitalism keep poverty around, like that persistent neighbor you mentioned?
This persistent neighbor, right?
Clearly, the answer isn't that straightforward. I mean, I don't know, but it depends. You know, it depends how capitalism is structured, I guess, in different countries, whether policies are actually there in place to ensure that wealth isn't hoarded, but shared widely. You know?
Now let's touch on that millionaire's tax, which was briefly mentioned earlier. I know some of you will love it, some of you will dislike this. This tax has practical implications, but it also raises ethical questions that are hard to ignore for the capitalists.
I know, it's easy for me to ignore, Loki. But I guess you're right. All right. The millionaire's tax is a topic that can spark a bit of debate, especially in capitalist and democratic nations like, of course, the US and I guess maybe to a little like the UK a little bit.
Us.
Yeah. So these nations, they are founded on principles that individuals are empowered to just work hard and accumulate wealth. And it's the opposite of the values that you find in communist countries, where wealth is evenly distributed among members of society. Right? So, which one sounds nice?
Which one sounds nice? Well, the ethical dilemma here is clear, okay? In countries driven by the fundamental principles of capitalism, is it right for the government to impose a specific levy on the highest earning citizens? Their hard-earned money, especially when the political philosophy encourages individuals to work hard for their own benefit and that of their families. They're just trying to hustle for their family.
At what cost? Okay. So I guess what we're saying is while implementing the millionaire's tax might make financial sense, it raises some level of ethical concerns. It could be seen as a departure of the core values of capitalism, you know, and on top of that, enforcing it could be, you know, it could come with significant challenges. Many citizens may resist paying an additional tax targeted at the highest earners, and that can lead to potential legal disputes with the government. Donald Trump. Allegedly.
But there's another side of this coin. For government officials, the millionaire's tax can be a popular and topical issue. It resonates with the lower earning families and those seeking to reduce their tax liability. It's a political move that can boost your popularity. So it's just about popularity, isn't it?
Yes, politics can get into it. So I guess the millionaire's tax is more than just numbers and legislation. It's a complex issue that there's the pot of ethics and politics in capitalist societies.
Yeah.
But obviously the truth is poverty isn't a single uninvited guest.
This guest, man.
It's a complex, multifaceted challenge.
Yeah.
But there are ways to make it leave the party for good. Okay? And I think one approach is through targeted government policies. Take Finland, for example, our good old friend Finland. They have implemented a universal basic income project. Many of you may have heard of this. They are providing a guaranteed income to all citizens. So while it's not a silver bullet, of course, I do think it's a step toward reducing poverty.
Go Finland! Go Finland! Well, the other thing, education, is another key player in this evicting plan. By ensuring access to quality education, we empower individuals to break the cycle of poverty. Let's look at South Korea, for example. They had educational reforms which transformed the nation from struggling economy to an industrial powerhouse.
Yeah, guys, just look at South Korea. And then let's not forget about economic development, of course. That's still important. So when we encourage entrepreneurship and support small businesses like ourselves, we create jobs and opportunities. For example, in Kenya, shout out, there's a banking system called M-Pesa, which has opened doors for financial inclusion, giving people a chance to escape poverty. Shout out Kenya.
Shout out Kenya. There are many others. But Edna, there is no magic wand here.
No.
We must address systemic issues like inequality, discrimination, and social safety needs. So, for example, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria is a great example. It's a collective effort to tackle health-related global poverty.
Yeah. So, is there hope to evict poverty from the global party? This pesky, stubborn person. I think it's a monumental task, but implementing these strategies, I think, and more, can certainly reduce poverty's presence and over time show it to the door.
Show it to the door. Bye-bye. And extreme inequality isn't an unavoidable fate. It's a result of deliberate political and economic choices. And we have the power to reverse it.
Amen. We have tackled some hard-hitting questions during this episode, clearly. But it's not just about discussion.
No.
It's also about action. And as always, here are some of our steps that we think you could take to make a real difference in the fight against poverty. Number 1, advocate for change. It's that simple. Well, it's not that simple. So your voice is a powerful tool for progress. Reach out to your local and national representatives to advocate for policies that address poverty and its root causes. For example, you can share your thoughts on issues such as income inequality, affordable housing, access to quality education, and healthcare. We don't just take anything.
Stress it.
Your engagement in the democratic process can influence real change, believe it or not. So I guess an example could help. You can write letters to your elected officials, attend town hall meetings, which are public in most places, I think.
Yeah.
You can also join advocacy groups that, deal with poverty-related issues. There you can voice your concerns, provide any suggestions, and help, share your voice with the people in power to change.
Number 2, support local initiatives. You can directly engage with local organizations dedicated to helping individuals and families living in poverty within your community. These groups usually provide, immediate support, assistance to those in need, usually offer food, shelter, and other essentials. So for instance, let's say microfinance. and entrepreneurship. They contribute to microfinance programs that offer small loans to entrepreneurs in developing nations.
Okay.
And organizations like Kiva connect lenders with borrowers to help kickstart businesses and improve livelihoods.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Third thing, educate yourself and others. Yeah, I know. But guys, knowledge is a powerful tool for change. Take time to educate yourself about the root causes and challenges of poverty, as well as the potential solutions. Then you can share this knowledge with your friends, family, and the community around you.
Yeah.
You can also just consider reading some books, watching documentaries, or following reputable news sources that particularly focus on poverty-related issues. Me personally, if you're really into movies, I recommend the 2016 British film I, Daniel Blake.
Okay, I need to watch that.
No, it's a good one. It's like it has a really compelling look on poverty in the UK. And yeah, these can be ways to just engage in discussions with your peers, again, raise awareness and just foster better understanding on this issue.
And last thing, empower through education. Support educational initiatives that empower underprivileged communities.
Yeah.
You can sponsor a child's education through organizations like Room to Read or Pencils of Promise. By investing in education, you can actually provide opportunities for a brighter future. And these are practical steps that when taken by individuals like you and I, that can actually have a remarkable collective impact on the fight against poverty. Change is possible when we advocate for supporting local initiatives and educate ourselves and others that are like-minded.
Period. So guys, I think that does it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
Don't forget as always to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our socials, which will be in the description below, together with all our references for this episode.
At WHI_podcast World Health Investigation. Remember to stay well informed, keep talking, keep asking the tough questions.
Thank you for joining us.